As a result of an uptick in fighting close to the Russian-occupied Zaporizhzhia nuclear power station, the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, has issued a warning regarding a potential threat to nuclear safety. The largest nuclear power station in Europe has been the site of multiple explosions, according to the IAEA, the United Nations nuclear watchdog. The plant wasn't harmed in any way. IAEA Director General Rafael Mariano expressed his concern about potential threats to the plant in a statement released late on Friday. "I remain deeply concerned about the possible dangers facing the plant at this time of heightened military tension in the region," he said. "Everyone would stand to lose from a nuclear accident, wherever a conflict zone may be, and I urge that all necessary precautions must be taken to prevent it from happening." According to Alexei Kalemzin, the mayor appointed by Russia, one person was killed and another injured during the Ukrainian shelling of the city of Donetsk. Russian bombardment of the Kherson Oblast claimed the life of a 48-year-old male, according to Alexander Prokudin, the regional governor. He posted on Telegram, "The shelling goes on. Stay in secure locations." Following a meeting with Yoshimasa Hayashi, the Japanese foreign minister, on Saturday in Kiev, Volodymyr Zelensky announced that he had agreed to start bilateral discussions with Japan about security assurances. Hayashi met with the foreign minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba, and the prime minister, Denis Shmyhal, while he was in Kiev. Earlier on Saturday, he had stated that Japan was considering making an infrastructure investment in Ukraine. Japan is a member of the G7, which announced in July that its members would begin bilateral security guarantees negotiations with Ukraine. According to regional governor Vyacheslav Gladkov, electricity has been turned off to the Russian settlement of Terebrino as a result of an onslaught by Ukrainian soldiers. Gladkov added that this comes after a day of assaults by Ukrainian forces. 13 artillery projectiles were launched by Ukrainian forces at Petrovka, 3 more at Ostinka and the Nekotivka vehicle checkpoint, and 4 more at Zurevlevka and Krasny Khutor. Gladkov reported on Telegram that there were no injuries or property damage. After Ukrainian forces struck with artillery fire and air defense shot down a drone over the city of Veluki, damage was done to 9 residential homes, 2 outbuildings, a car, and a school window. In the vicinity of the villages of Drnovka, Spodoryashino, and Barak, Ukrainian forces fired 10 mortar shells, 9 mortar shells, and 4 mortar shells respectively. However, there were no casualties or property damage. Novaya Tavelzenka received 11 mortar shells and 3 artillery shells, while the town of Sareta received mortar fire from the Shebekinsky urban area. There were no casualties, however 1 private home's facade sustained damage, and 1 outbuilding was completely destroyed. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that the G20 has adopted a consensus declaration on issues facing the bloc, issues including the war in Ukraine. Earlier, there was disagreement over the wording on the war in Ukraine, with Western countries pushing for strong condemnation of Russia and Russia blocking a compromise that was acceptable otherwise for everyone else, an EU diplomat told Reuters. The wording on the Ukraine portion of the declaration noted the different views and assessments on Russia's war on the country, but underscored that all states must act in a manner consistent with the purposes and principles of the UN Charter in its entirety. In order to guarantee immediate and unhindered deliveries of grain, food, and fertilizers from Russia and Ukraine, it asked for their timely and effective execution. Russia abandoned the Black Sea Grain Agreement in July, which had been negotiated by the UN and Turkey to assure the secure transportation of goods into and out of Ukraine. Since then, Russia has frequently bombarded Ukrainian ports and grain warehouses. The Foreign Minister of Japan, Yoshimasa Hayashi, traveled to Kiev to meet with the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba. He and representatives of leading Japanese companies stated that Japanese businesses were interested in investing in Ukrainian infrastructure, medicine, and communications. Currently, Japan plans to send 24 cranes for humanitarian demining to Ukraine. Boris Johnson, a former UK Prime Minister, has also made a visit to Ukraine, meeting with the mayor of Lviv, a city in western Ukraine located about 543 kilometers, 337 miles, from the capital, Kiev. Andriy Sadovyi, the mayor of Lviv, called Johnson a great friend of Ukraine. Volodymyr Zelensky met with Michael McFaul, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia who is currently heading the International Working Group on Sanctions against Russia. It is important to strengthen sanctions against the energy, financial and banking sectors of Russian terrorists, Zelensky wrote on Telegram.